Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. In the sunlit winter garden, Jack stood and looked at his wife of 40 years, Shannon. The warmth emanating from the glass walls was in stark contrast to the coolness penetrating their conversation. "So, you're planning on staying with your lover, are you?" he asked, bitterness in his tone. Shannon, knowing about his temper, answered as evenly as she could. "Nicholas is not my lover. We just have a lot of common interests, and I like spending time with him." Jack grimaced in disgust. "I can imagine what Louise would say if she found out that you and Nicholas turned me into a pathetic cuckold." Shannon's disappointment spilled out, and she stamped her foot like a moody child. "You're not a cuckold to Nicholas and me. Is that exactly what it is?" he replied. "A cuckold is a man whose wife has other lovers, and that's exactly what I am, isn't it?" After pausing, Shannon deliberately softened her tone. "No, I don't have any lover. There is only Nicholas. And your joke about Louise? It wasn't according to the rules. She didn't want to leave him alone, so I intervened. Just as I'm sure Louise would comfort you if I left on my own." Jack shrugged, skepticism showing on his face. "I doubt Louise would play the role of another woman with me." In an instant, Shannon's hand touched his cheek, and the sound echoed through the room. The suddenness of this action stunned him, forcing him to take a step back. "Using violence won't solve anything," he said in a low but firm voice. Her voice trembled on the verge of an apology, but the words never came out. Instead, she replied defiantly, "I'm not a whore. And yet you're like this, getting ready to live with Nicholas, share a bed with him, and, yes, maybe even share intimate moments." "Maybe," she agreed, "but what I'm doing with Nicholas doesn't detract from what we had." Her tone was playful, with a hint of mischief, and he caught a hint of irony in her words. He wisely kept his thoughts to himself, knowing full well that a date with Nicholas could touch depths of passion that she had never explored with him. A harlot? This thought flashed through his mind. "Please don't forget to take your medicine when I'm not around, okay?" The concern in her voice caught him off guard. "Why do you care if I take medicine?" he asked with a note of disbelief in his voice. "After all," he thought, "if I were dead, you'd be with Nicholas, wouldn't you?" She shook her head emphatically. "No, that's not the point. I still cherish you very much, and I don't want to see you sick." Her voice softened as she continued. "You need blood pressure and heart medication. I'm worried about you. We are very young, and we both need to take care of ourselves. You're almost 71, and I'm 67. He let her give him a gentle peck on the cheek, a bittersweet goodbye, after which she started the engine of her luxury sports car and sped off into the night, heading for a date with Nicholas, the widower of her late sister Louise. Nicholas lived only 60 miles from home, a distance that may seem trivial in many countries of the world, but in our state it was considered quite reasonable. Driving along familiar roads, Shannon could not get rid of the memories of that fateful day 16 years ago, when her sister's life was cut short as a result of a tragic workplace accident. The shockwave of grief that followed knocked Nicholas out of his rut, and in a difficult moment, Shannon intervened, offering support to a man who suddenly found himself in the role of a young widower. What began as compassionate visits gradually turned into something more intimate, although Shannon could never pinpoint exactly when this shift occurred. However, she clearly remembers the confrontation that changed everything, the moment when her unsuspecting husband Jack found out the truth. Their quarrel was explosive, filled with violent emotions and accusations, but it all came to an abrupt end when Jack suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest in agony. It was a terrifying prelude to the heart disease that lurked deep inside. In a panic, Shannon dialed the emergency service, her heart pounding wildly when she realized how dangerous the situation was. She felt exposed, almost vulnerable, almost naked, while Nicholas stood in his boxers and Jack, still in street clothes, lay on the floor. An ambulance crew arrived, and their professionalism was in stark contrast to the chaos of emotions swirling around them. They didn't say a word about the tension or the scandalous affair while they worked to stabilize Jack's condition. He was taken to a general hospital, where cardiologists installed a stent to restore his health. By an amazing coincidence, Nicholas decided not to press charges against Jack, although the incident left its mark on all its participants. Now, Jack was a man suffering not only from physical ailments, but also from an emotional rupture that he could not make up for. As the weeks turned into months, Shannon resumed her secret trysts with Nicholas, despite Jack's protests and threats of divorce. For her, it was not just an affair, but a way to help Nicholas heal from a deep loss. It's been almost 16 years, and Jack seemed to come out of the fog of denial. Deep down, he felt that Shannon was guided more by her own desires than by a sincere desire to help. On a clear morning, just after 9, Shannon slipped out of the house to meet Nicholas again, leaving Jack alone in their sunlit greenhouse surrounded by glass and greenery. It was here, amidst the tranquility of nature, that he began to face the reality of their broken relationship and the secrets that had taken root in the shadows. His condition wasn't the best, but he kept it a secret. The last thing he wanted was for Shannon to think he was trying to push her away from Nicholas. That was the last thing on his mind. In fact, he would gladly have given it to Charlie's boy. With a sigh, he sank into his favorite chair, and the world around him faded into a deep slumber. The June sun rose higher and higher, turning the greenhouse into a red-hot furnace. In the depths of his dream, he found himself wandering through a vast desert where scorching sands stretched endlessly. But the dream did not last long. He woke up abruptly and felt oppressive heat attack him. With difficulty gathering his strength, he tried to get up, but was met by a dizzying wave that knocked him back to the floor. The stone tiles, which were supposed to bring relief, seemed to radiate warmth. The suffocating air enveloped him like a thick blanket, suffocating and inexorable. He crawled towards the double doors leading to the living room, but his strength was running out. Shannon insisted on giving him a Bluetooth pendant for Christmas, which was supposed to connect him to her phone. But now this lifeline seemed more like a bad joke, as the calls went straight to voicemail. "Help me, please," he croaked, barely escaping from his lips. The phone was beckoning in his jacket, outside the living room. He was persistently approaching the door, desperation spurring his movements. And then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a presence in the conservatory. Turning his head, he saw the familiar, cheerful face of Louise, his sister-in-law, whose eyes sparkled with concern. "Louise? Yes, it's me." He turned his head and saw the familiar, cheerful face of Louise, his sister-in-law, whose eyes sparkled with concern. "What are you doing here? What happened?" "Oh, I came for my beloved brother-in-law. Come on, get up." She always called him Mikey, and in a world full of titles, only her name mattered. Spreading her arms wide, she beckoned to him. But when he got up, he was seized with a chilling realization. His lifeless body lay on the floor of the winter garden. "I'm dead, aren't I?" flashed through his mind, and he waved away her warm invitation. Louise nodded solemnly. "That's right. Now you've crossed another line. Now you have to come with me. I have been granted special permission to escort you to the other side." Her gaze softened, and she continued. "I am truly sorry for what Shannon and Nicholas did to you. You were right from the very beginning. I would never betray your trust, as Shannon did, not because I don't find you beautiful, but because honesty is important, regardless of temptation. And let's be honest, I'm not like your wife." She flashed a cheeky grin, diluting the gloomy atmosphere. Grabbing his hand, they set off on a journey to a place far beyond earthly sorrows, a kingdom filled with peace and wonders. In the meantime, back on Earth, 2 days later, Shannon was driving home, a knot of anxiety clenched in her stomach. She knew she had to make it up to Jack. The last meeting had left a rift between them, and now it felt more acute than ever. He was hurt by her brief affair with Nicholas, and this time she felt the stakes were higher. "What should I do?" she mused, turning over the possible options in her mind. Should she cook his favorite dish? Maybe take a relaxing bath? Or maybe give him a day of enjoyment? The very thought of giving him a helping hand made her heart pound. No matter what it took, she was determined to heal the wounds and bring him back into her orbit. Will she be able to pull him to her and give herself to love? Or will the severity of her actions further distance them from each other? The slap she gave him still caused bitter regret in her soul. She has always been supported by women who have faced at least one act of cruelty, urging them to leave their partners without hesitation. So why was Jack still with her? Some part of her desperately hoped that he wouldn't leave. But wasn't this a double standard that she couldn't ignore? She would have to face this dilemma later. Already on the way to the house, an unpleasant thought crept into her head. Her phone was turned off. Her heart started pounding. She turned it on and found a chilling message from Jack. "Please help me." Panic surged through her veins. She pressed down on the gas pedal harder, guilt mixed with urgency, and she raced to the house. As she drove up to the house, she noticed Jack's car, an unwelcome reminder of his presence. Hastily parked, her heart pounding, she rushed into the house, shouting his name with desperation in her voice. As she burst into the living room, her gaze fell on the glass doors leading to the conservatory. What she saw next will haunt her forever. There, on the cold stone tiles, lay the lifeless body of her husband, his arms stretched out towards the entrance, as if begging for escape. The sight almost knocked the breath out of her lungs. The oppressive heat of 3 days in a confined space changed him, leaving a grotesque reminder of a life once lived. With trembling hands, she dialed the emergency number. A specialized team arrived, whose professionalism stood out sharply against the background of the chilling picture. She froze in place, caught up in a whirlwind of emotions, trying to realize the reality of her choice and the silence surrounding her. She was given the contact information of a specialized firm known for its discreet operations at crime scenes and accidental deaths. "They are exceptional," the man assured. "Just say my name, Ron from the county coroner's office, and ask Andy. They'll take care of everything." With a heavy heart, she closed the doors of the conservatory and took refuge in the kitchen. Grabbing a bottle of gin, she dialed the number of the only person she dared to hope would be able to understand the whirlwind of emotions bubbling inside her. Nicholas replied. His tone was cautious. "Hello?" "Nicholas, this is Shannon," she said, her voice trembling. "I recently returned, and Jack, he had a heart attack. He's gone." Before Nicholas could answer, a harsh, accusing voice came on the line. "Nicholas! Are you talking to this walking woman who let you turn her husband into a cuckold? Turn it off immediately. You're supposed to be with me, not wasting your time on her." Shannon felt a surge of rage and resentment. "Nicholas," she interrupted, raising her voice. "It seemed to me that there was something real between us. Do you remember how I almost left Jack for you? How stupid I was if I thought I meant more than just another notch in your column. And tell that shrill harpy to get out." With that, she hung up the phone, and the finality of the act echoed in her ears. Then she blocked Nicholas's number. It felt like a small victory, but she realized that it was too little and too late. Pulling herself together, she called the cleaning service and left a message on their 24-hour line. "I'm sorry I hit you, Jack. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I am very, very sorry." The words were pouring out and tears were streaming down her face. Tears for Jack, for her dead sister, and most painfully for herself. Yes, mostly for herself, because you have to be very narcissistic to fall into the chaos that she created. Life was cruelly put at risk, wasn't it? This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.